There's a drone flying over my house today.
Fascinating. Tell me more.
Well, I own a drone.
Oh, yeah. So do I, actually.
Really? What drone do you own?
I had a
DJI.
Mavic something,
Mavic,
right?
yeah. Mavic what?
And a Mavic Mini.
Ooh, a Mavic Mini. Okay.
And can I tell you a really sad thing about my inaugural flight? I bought it a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And I was living in an apartment block.
Ooh.
And I was like, and I flew it around my apartment, and it was fine. And I was like, okay.
This must be quite a few years ago.
Yeah, it was like before I lived in this place.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I'll take it off the deck. I was 4 flights up, and took it off the deck, off the balcony. As soon as it went past the balcony, like a gust of wind just went, and then I kind of panicked. I was like, I gotta bring it back, and then I just crashed it straight into the side of the building, and it tumbled 4 stories.
Literally on your first flight. Oh my god.
And then I had to pay like $300 to get it fixed.
Yowza.
Yeah. Anyway, well, tell me about your drone story.
Oh, I own a drone. I bought it from Cash Converters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2 years ago. It was new, but I'm always out for a bargain. So I got it cheap. I got a Mavic Air, which is kind of an old model, but it's small. I wanted a small one that I could like just chuck on my backpack if I wanted to.
Were you going to use it for 2 cents on tour or something?
I don't know what I was going to use it for, but I was like, it'd be nice to get some video shots.
Yeah.
But
we're YouTubers. We should
yeah,
use them.
exactly. I think I was still working at the time though. It was I probably bought it around the time of the last World Cup. I've had it for a wee while.
And you never used it?
I have used it, but not much.
Should we make a video of us being really crap at using our own drones?
Yeah, but I've used the drone enough to know that the guy flying around my house, that's his first time flying a drone. He was like,
oh, really?
But you're not supposed to be flying there anyway because it's near
no-fly zone.
It's no-fly zone near Whenuapai.
Whenuapai.
Read the rules, man. Am I a stickler for thinking, how dare you? It doesn't really affect me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember once a guy flew over it was in my backyard.
Right.
And my ex-wife was just like, at the drone.
Right.
And then it fucked up.
People hate drones. I try to
They're quite obnoxious.
Yeah, because they're quite loud. If I fly, anytime I flew, I would just be like, are there people here? I'm fucking off away from them.
They're the jet skis of the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to actually deal with actual jet skiers as well.
Right.
Okay, drones, I can't, drone is a little bit off limits here because Whenuapai is just over there.
Okay. You know one thing flying a drone did teach me?
What did it teach you, Mark?
Bird calls.
Ah.
I know the sound of an angry magpie now based on one call. I'll be like, oh shit.
Really?
Magpie coming. Yeah, because the first time I was flying a drone, like you, maybe first or second flight.
Yeah.
And I heard this, and I was like, that's interesting. Didn't connect the two things, but it was a magpie. It just came bombing the drone.
Birds are quite terrifying when they're angry as well. Like,
the magpie is smart as well, because even after I landed the drone and put it away, the magpie was like, no, fuck you. I'm coming after you.
I'm going at you.
Yeah, he knew that, like, that's yours.
I actually had to. I got myself in a bit of a strife with some angry birds, maybe 6 months. Oh no, last summer, so almost a year ago now, where I was paddleboarding and just out there, and then I went right to the end of the mangroves, which is about a K.
Right.
So the long distance, and at the end there's like a breeding ground of of gulls. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. And I was like just like paddling by them, and then there's like freaking 5,000, 10,000 gulls just squawking at me, and all these little babies just going ape crap. And I was like, oh shit. And then there's like one swirling. I'm like, I'm gonna get freaking dive bombed here.
Yeah.
So I just freaking paddled out into paddled out into the channel and avoided the ferries.
Nice. Yeah, there's 3 birds. There's magpies, they get angry. Gulls get angry, and spur-winged plovers get angry.
I think they all kind of get pretty
Those are the 3 words. Those are the 3 that have actively like pursued my drone.
Oh, really?
Like, a lot will call, but those 3 will chase me.
You get quite amazing shots of birds when you're droning. When they fly past, it's quite amazing.
Yeah, but if they're that close, it's probably not great.
If someone was watching this podcast for the first time, they would think it was more about
a drone podcast.
About people who don't know how
to use drone on.
We do definitely. I see what you did there. That was very clever. But it is a podcast about rugby, and it is called
2 Cents Gets Distracted. We usually feature a little trophy here called the 2CG.
It's right under there. Get those go gadget arms, Mark. Look at them. Go. Avoid the candles and the dildos. Okay, there you go. You didn't pull out a dildo. That's great. Fantastic. That's a 2CGD. And what's exciting, like, there is a trophy up for grabs in the next week called the William Webb Ellis Trophy, which we'll be forced to talk about. But the real prestige comes with this guy. Would you like to tell people what this is?
This is our annual award.
Our award
Not
ceremony.
just in World Cup years. We gave one. We gave them out last year as well.
Yeah, exactly.
For a variety of standout performers in their fields.
That's right.
It is coveted.
Absolutely. And if you've got any categories you'd like us to cover, let us know. Maybe some nominations. But it will be in about a fortnight, the week after we review the World Cup final. It'll
be an awards night here
exactly.
at the 2 Cents Gets Distracted offices.
The studio. It's a big glitzy affair.
Yeah.
You know, all the paparazzi's out and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is very exclusive with just the two and I, the two of us.
That's it.
You know, Lydia might come up and
get some dessert
get
later.
Some milk or something.
Yeah. Now, you know what someone said a couple of weeks running now that, like, I could talk to you, could listen to you. You can talk to us, but I probably won't hear it just now. You can comment down below if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah,
if you're listening on one of the podcasting platforms, you won't be able to comment.
Depending on where you are, you could shout really loudly. If you're like one of my neighbours, I might be like,
shut up.
I might be like, Bertha, God.
But a couple of people have said, I could just listen to you guys for hours, even if there was no rugby. To which somebody last week, because I think last week we got to the rugby pretty quick.
And this week,
within like 3 minutes, I think we got to the rugby. Someone was like, Jesus, just get to the rugby. No.
Yeah.
It was too long.
There was someone else a week ago who was like, they dribbled on about COVID. And I had enough within 2 minutes. I had no idea what they were talking about, and then I left. And I was like, thanks for the positive feedback. Yeah, really appreciate that. No, you would have seen it already. There would have been a thing saying...
Rugby chat.
Starts
Tony
sometime.
Always puts a little thing. If you just want to get straight to the rugby.
Exactly.
Feel free to get straight to the rugby.
You would have missed out on our drone chat. And today, we classically drink beers on this podcast.
We do, because we are working class background fellas.
It's all part of our image. Blue collar.
What did your dad do before he passed away?
He was a builder.
There you go.
A quantity surveyor and also architect. But
so he gets fancier and fancier.
Yeah, but he kind of like kept it around and also sort of.
So he went from beer drinker to wine drinker.
No, he kind of just did it all at once, sort of thing. It was kind of
So he drank beers in the morning and then wine at night.
And then it was just heroin from there.
I was going to say spirits, but okay, you just go to Class A drugs.
Yeah, straight to the Class A drugs. No, he wasn't much of a drinker, really.
Okay.
No.
I thought he's an O'Sullivan.
He is an O'Sullivan. He would have the odd beer occasionally, but it wouldn't be like... I drink way more than my old man did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't teach
me. My dad was a storeman.
All right, yeah.
He worked for Repco for 50 years.
Good old Gazza.
Literally 50 years.
And he was happy in what he did.
Loved it.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely loved it. Although he doesn't watch this podcast, because he said to me the other day, watched your stuff the other day, it's good. He's like, but not the 1 hour one. Nah, too long. And he literally said...
He has to point out the one he didn't watch.
What was his wording? It was gold. It was gold, because my mum was there as well, and he was like... Something along the lines of, I'm retired, I don't have time for that. And it's like, this is literally... You literally have all the time in the world.
Can that be it?
Mum does the cooking and cleaning. You don't have a job to go to. Like, you literally could just do anything with your hour. And then I think when my mum started giving him shit about it, he was like, I got to watch some animal videos. It's like... Priorities, Dad. Priorities.
I would like us to be like on a movie cover for 2 Cents Gets Distracted, but just with the quote from Gaza. I'm retired and I don't have time for this.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thanks. And your son's in it. But,
Yeah.
Anything.
If you're watching this one, thanks for coming along, Dad.
Good on you, Gaza. But what my point was, we usually drink beer, but seeing it's in France, we both like a tipple and a bit of wine from time to time. We've got a sneaky Pinot Noir, which is not a French wine.
It sounds French.
Pinot Noir does sound French, but it's a type of grape. And this is a Rua, and it's what does Rua mean?
2.
That's right, Tahi Rua Torifa.
2 Cents Gets Distracted.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Rua Cents Gets Distracted. This is Central Otago 2022. So I know you've been...
2022. Like, we got all the 2s going, don't we?
Yeah, we really do. It's a Tahi Rua.
There you go.
There we go.
All well planned.
That's right. That's for you, sir.
You're a gentleman.
There we go. You're like, where's the crystal?
Doesn't trust me with the fine china.
Sorry. It's not plastic. Here we go.
So it's only Mark.
We might have to steal another beer after this once we get through the wine. Oh, L'chaim. Cheers to a great World Cup so far.
2 games to go.
Oh, yeah, that's it. 2 games. Oh, communion.
I never did communion.
I did. I'm a good Catholic boy. Did my first Holy Communion. That was the first time I drank some red wine, I think.
I bet it was.
Did I?
But not the last.
No, definitely not the last. Got the taste for it. I was like, can I have another one, Father?
I could go so many ways with that, but let's keep this monetized.
Yeah, please do. It's on my channel. I need the money. Got to pay the rent somehow. So there we go. We've talked about drones. We've talked about wine. We've
talked about my old man, your old man.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're... was there anything else we needed to talk about?
I guess some rugby.
Oh, the old rugby. Yes. 2 semi-finals this week. And it was all week. People were saying it was pretty much a foregone conclusion as what was going to happen. It was
the fact that there was the strong side of the draw and the weak side of the draw, and they were going to clash, and they were going to be 2 big old hidings, and they were half right.
Yeah, they were half right. I gave you a bit of side-eye, and I stand by my side-eye. When I said to you last week, who's in a worse position right now, us or South Africa, with us playing Argentina and them playing England, and you said us playing Argentina.
Did I really?
You did.
That doesn't sound like
me.
Yeah,
you did. And I went, really? And you were like, yeah, they've beaten us. Blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, no, sure. Because England know how to... Okay, what game do you want to start with?
We'll start with the All Blacks.
Let's start with the All Blacks. That's of the 2 games, it's a far less interesting, of course.
A lot more tries.
A lot more tries, a lot more attacking play, but
less rain.
A lot, and a lot less tension.
Yeah.
If you're a neutral,
the Mexican waves were kicking off pretty early in that game because there just wasn't that much to cheer about. It's gotten a little bit flat since the French went out, which makes sense because it's deflating.
Imagine 2011 if we went out.
If we'd gone out in like the quarters.
Probably would have packed out the stadium.
Don't know if we would have sold the thing out. Man.
Yeah. And it would have been so painful as well. So thank God we won that one. But in terms of the game itself,
I think if Argentina scored a try early, then there would be a good vibe. They scored a penalty early.
Yeah, and that was their chance, really. They needed to get ahead up full of steam. They needed to get points on the board early.
They started
with tries.
Someone gave me grief about it in the comments, but they did start kind of well. They put us under the pressure for like 10 minutes. They scored a penalty.
And they had multiple phases.
Yeah. We didn't have any ball.
And they were throwing big men at us, for long periods. And the collisions were pretty ferocious for those first 10 minutes. And I was nervous. Yeah, absolutely, during those times. Because that's the point where it's like, well, if they score here and we don't, put our, foot enough on their throat early on, this is when they're going to get the confidence. This is when they're going to get the self-belief. This is when the crowd's going to get up behind them. So the winning and the losing of the game for the All Blacks is, first 10 to 15, just weathering that passionate storm. They would have come in wanting to win, of course, and thinking very much that they could win with a lot of self-belief. So the quicker we could quell that belief within them, the better. And I think the All Blacks had pretty much extinguished any sense of it being a competitive game by 50 minutes.
Yeah, well, when we got that first shot, like penalty, we didn't go for the shot. We were like going for touch.
Yeah.
And we scored from it not long later.
Yeah, that was good.
It was one of those going for the jugular ones and they hit.
Yeah, that's right. That was the first, it was that skip loop kind of pass out to Will Jordan.
Yeah, that's right. So it was 7-3 after that, had that early phase of pressure.
I'm dropping.
You're drooping. It's the wine. It's not good for,
is it?
It's not good for your circulation.
There we go. Oh, I'm going to tighten this bad boy up. Sorry about the sounds.
So, 7-3, and then we scored another one a few minutes later, 12-3, and you're thinking...
I'm thinking awesome.
Yeah, in terms of the game, you're thinking, this could be a bit of a hiding.
I'm going to give you a perspective from an All Blacks fan.
Yeah.
Flipping great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like, I sat down on the Saturday morning and I sent out a tweet and I was like, when I'm watching these knockout games, I feel like I'm going to the dentist. Like I'm bracing myself for something really unpleasant that's about to happen. I'm uncomfortable. I'm anxious. So the quicker then they can relieve that and put me like it's 50 minutes time. Like the whole first half, I was still relatively tense. Like we got
for
that
halftime. It wasn't like until that last try. It was still close.
Yeah,
It was like 15-6. Yeah,
which is still striking distance. Considering the South Africa game, it was 15-6 at 60 minutes.
That's it.
So like they certainly weren't out of distance. If they got a try, it's all on for the young and old from that point. But getting that try just before halftime and straight after halftime, that was it. That made me feel a lot better getting that try, putting it out to 22.
Yeah.
At halftime. In terms of where the All Blacks weren't that great, though, there were two main points for me that I thought goal kicking, and also exiting their half. I feel like nobody is just slapping a big old fat boot on it with good accuracy. Like I was watching, watch Andre Pollard when he's deep in his 22. It's still going out in the 50, and I remember DC used to do that, and world class 10s do that around the world, but. With D-Mac, Moanga, Barrett, it's like we scramble it out just beyond the 22. And we're still under pressure.
The first exit was like that. We were under the pump for ages. I think we got a turnover, and it was like, oh, now we can exit. And it was like, well, only made it to the 22, so we're still back under the pump.
We're still under the pump there, and you need to get double the amount of turnovers to be able to
get that territory, but. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of people commented like, oh, that game was over by like 10 minutes, over by 15 minutes, but not really. No. It was over probably by the start of the second half.
52 minutes. Yeah, that was it. And then from there, it's just like, who can we rest? Like, how do we... and I can understand that we ended a little bit flat. Yeah. And as a neutral, like for me, like last week I said to you, what would be perfect for us is if we got the game wrapped up with 60 minutes to go, we can rest crucial players.
Which we did.
And it will be an absolute barnstormer of a game between England and South Africa. The only thing that would have been better would have been if that other game went to extra time. That would have been, like as an All Blacks fan, like the weekend went about as well as it could because we took
no injuries,
no
red cards,
and even with Bodie, even with freaking Dogrel doing his best.
That was one of the dumbest things I think I've seen. He gets paid to play rugby, so understanding the laws of the game is probably part of his job description.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that tries to operate the dark arts, but just does them in the daylight.
Did you see the look on his face when he got
when he got carded?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't him getting carded. That was him going in for a ball that he thought was free at the back of a ruck in the first half.
There's still the look on his face is priceless.
Yeah, I saw that that clipped into a few different things, like him reacting to his brother's try. Woo! Like him getting red carded. Woo! Like him walking in on his parents having sex. Woo! No, it was him earlier in the first half, like going for that. And he was like, because he was looking at the touch judge, going, "Really, mate? What?"
Oh, okay.
He's a great player. He could be better than he is.
Did you hear Ian Foster's reason that he didn't come back on after the yellow card had expired?
Didn't want him to get another yellow.
He was slightly worried that he might get another yellow card.
But then the other take was like them testing how they roll with 14 men just in case that happens.
I think
but it's a pretty incredible position to be in with 15 to go.
In a World Cup semi-final.
Yeah. It's so much easier than the quarter. It was harder than the Namibia, Italy, and who was the other?
It's our third hardest game. We played France and lost. We played Ireland and won.
Really, if anything, that should have been a quarterfinal. And even as a quarterfinal, that's a bit of a lame duck game. Just in terms of...
But the last couple of World Cups have had games like that, or similar scorelines, like to the one we just had, Argentina, New Zealand.
We kind of pumped the Irish
by similar scoreline.
Similar scoreline. Yeah. Well, they got 19 or something, didn't they?
Yeah, something
6
like
points, and the Argentinians didn't fire a shot.
Yeah, it's been an issue under Cheika for a while. Like he's always talked about, he wants to get
wine today.
Yeah, it's good. But Cheika wants to get the fundamentals right, but they've never been a prolific attacking side, barring when they flogged Spain. They flogged Chile, and they did pretty well against Japan. I think they scored 5 tries against Japan, but that's not like... I think maybe they scored 4 against Australia, that game where they came back from the death, but Australia haven't been that fantastic either. So they haven't really had a big scoring game against the likes of New Zealand or South Africa. So once again,
by far and away, their best game of the tournament was that Welsh game. Sadly for the Welsh, they came back from a deficit in that. They played with showed some real heart.
They scored
and some
two
spirit.
in that game, and even one of them was like an intercept. So it wasn't like they built up a bunch of like attacking phases and cut you to bits. Like which you more want to cutting through and then getting it out to Will Jordan kind of thing.
No,
and they've got players who can do that.
They've got a lot of guys with a fleet of foot, don't they? Boffali was kept quiet the whole game. What do you think, being a Welsh fan, you would have thought watching that game going?
Probably think we could have kept it closer than that.
Yeah. I think the Welsh really blew that game, didn't they, the week before? But oh well. It was great for another...
Kane was good, won some turnovers.
Rugby championship team to make I guess, from a southern... Kane was right. I thought Talia was like
busted a bunch of tackles. Couldn't quite get us try. And Moonga, goodness me.
Oh, he could have given Will Jordan
Will Jordan would have been the out-and-out top try scorer at World Cup. Now he's tied with the other three.
And he needs to get a try in the World Cup final to beat it, which you wouldn't write him off. But the man has...
He had a guaranteed one there.
Yeah.
And Moonga apologised to him straight after. But he was that's one of the things when the game's won. I don't know, has Moonga scored any tries at this World Cup?
I can't remember.
Maybe that's why he just wanted one. Just a bit selfish.
Do you think he just wanted to put on a little bit of delicate footwork and I thought for long periods, even, I know the scoreline's 44-6, and I said this in my no effort review. I was like, the Argentinians were defending well. I know how weird that sounds.
Sounds when you get that many points put on you.
But they were really combative in the contact, and they were pretty stout at times on their own line. But they just got broken down by sheer weight of pressure for a lot.
Some of the All Blacks tries were pretty nice, man.
Frizzell,
did Frizzell
get two, or did he just get the
two? Yeah. But at times it was like fucking like Whitelock offloads to Lomax to De Groot, like. Low numbers, just with these sweet, confident offloads. It was like pretty hard.
Love it. And it's just such a contrast, isn't it? And that's why next week is going to be so flippin' exciting.
Because their road to the final was rather different.
Yes. And it's just like styles make fights, and it's an open running flea for sure. A team that likes to attack, great on the counter, likes to give the ball some air, likes to use their wingers, versus a team that is just all about upfront physicality. Yeah.
Did you watch the other game?
Was there another game?
It was on this morning here in New Zealand.
Yes. We're actually recording like a day earlier. It's a public holiday tomorrow.
It is.
In Aotearoa, Labor Day. Was there anything else about the All Black game? Was there anything other than the exiting and...
We knocked the ball on a fair bit.
Yeah, ball security wasn't as good.
Like just a bit casual at times, but...
A little bit wetter conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, but the scrum looked good.
The scrum did look good.
Yeah.
Our scrum, I know we get written off with our forwards a lot, but we dominated
the last two games, really.
Yeah, we did well against the Irish, and we pulverized the Italians. Like, you were saying, like, wasn't it the Namibian team or something like that? They were like, their only world-class players were their...
the Italians. The Italians have a couple of their props play in the Premiership. Like, and they are the players who've been recruited to play abroad.
Yeah.
And yet, they got monstered. So, that was one area that really let them down. So,
yeah, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's the sort of weapon that we don't have an Oxney.
Oxenche, yeah.
Nche. That guy needs more bloody vowels in his last name. Please.
He's got one. He's got an E at the end with an accent on it. He likes cake.
He likes cake? That man.
His Twitter account's hilarious. It's all about eating. Like, props don't eat salads, that kind of thing. Like, it's old Simpsons jokes.
You don't make friends with salad.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. You don't make friends with salad.
Even Marge got in on that one.
Yeah, she did. She joined the conga. But from our point of view, pretty bloody great. I'm sorry that it wasn't a great spectacle and it wasn't tense.
But no injuries, no cards. We scored a bunch of tries.
Isn't it just to reflect on where the All Blacks have ended up? This highly maligned team, written off.
Worst All Blacks team ever. Worst All Blacks coach. Blah, blah, blah.
And since, the French game, people were big time talking up the Italians, like they were going to like cause an upset, like we weren't going to get out of the pools. Like, they won't even make out of the pools. The Italians are pretty good. And then from there, like talking about the but don't stand a chance against the Irish.
Yeah.
Like
I did the predictions video based on the bookies' numbers prior to the World Cup, right? And it had France number 1, and it had All Blacks number 2, followed by the usual suspects of recently, Ireland, South Africa, kind of all there or thereabouts. I think Ireland's numbers came up pretty low initially and then jumped up as they got closer to the Cup as they got one of the winning ones. But most of the comments were, how the fuck's New Zealand number 2? Like, New Zealand? No, they're rubbish.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I can't talk. I made a video about how crap they were last year, to be fair.
You did?
Yes, I did. I feel guilty about that.
Do you? Well, we were crap last year.
We were playing like crap.
And like,
we'd lost like 5 of the last 6 when I'd made that
I'm
video.
a member of one of the Facebook groups, like the All Blacks fans page, right? And the fans there are pretty brutal. Like when we play crap, they just roast the shit out of the team.
We do that pretty well.
Yeah.
If we don't win next week, they'll get roasted.
There was one person who commented there today saying, he screenshotted some comments from like 2 years ago, saying like all this crap about the All Blacks and like, look where we are now, mate. But I was like reading some of the comments. I'm like, no, that was true. That was true. It's like, well, we're playing directionless. And I was like, yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Like you used to look at the other teams and go, like, that's Ireland style, that's the French style, that's the South African style. And you look at us and go, we're waiting for Will Jordan to do something.
A lot has changed, even with a bit of personnel, but the coaching staff has changed dramatically. Like Jason Ryan, big
impact. Joe Schmidt, big impact.
Massive impact. And I think Kane was receiving shit and all quarters. The guy dang near broke his neck.
Yeah.
And he was coming back from that, and he came back a little bit undercooked, and he was throwing into the international level and like get better at international level, play more international level rugby, but he was having to do it on the fly, and he wasn't playing very well. But we've been saying like
he's been playing all right for a long time, but he's just tackling.
Well, the thing we've talked about it earlier this year when we were reviewing Super Rugby, we were going, Sam Cane's looking great this year. Like, I know it's coming as a bit of a surprise for a lot of people who have witnessed his last couple of games going, geez, Sam Cane's not as shit as we thought.
Yeah.
But he had a stellar year for the Chiefs. He was electric for them.
That's right, they got to the final.
He's played and he played really well.
He looked like New Zealand's best 7 all throughout Super Rugby.
And that's the
Dalton crowd kind of settled down.
Yeah, and that was our biggest criticism last year. Was like, I'd rather have Argy or Dalton at 7. Like 7 is in the black shirt is, nigh on equivalent with the holiness and sacrosanctness of that's not a word of the number 11 jersey. Michael Jones, even Josh Kronfeld, of course Richie McCaw. These
some big names in that 7 jersey for sure. Yeah,
and then it was Sam Cane playing. Not that great as the captain, but he is living up to that number 7 jersey right now. And they made it to a flipping
final.
Unbelievable.
Yeah! That tattoo, eh?
I'm not worried about it, but like, if I have to, like, I think the thing is, like, we know YouTube a little bit. Once a video is a dead dodo, it doesn't really get promoted, so it needs to be externally promoted to stimulated, but hopefully not.
If we win, I'll do some stimulation.
Sit there flicking the bean. If I do have to get that, I'll make a video and you can come along with me.
Okay.
And
film your ass. Got plenty of cameras. Yeah. I'll get my drone.
Yeah. You're like, why are you getting it on your ball sacks? Yeah. So that's. If I do, and I haven't watched the video for a long time. I do feel guilty about it. We watched that thing on NZR Plus about the behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Fozzie was so cut up, and the
he
players
was like,
because he's a human being.
He was like that week, when after Nombella and stuff, and I think right around then I was making my video about how crap he was. He said, I was trying to be the best coach I could be, and all that sort of stuff. But when I went back to my hotel room, it was pretty hard. He was just trying to say it might have been a bit of a mess during that period. And like, that's, by the way, that's code for a Kiwi bloke saying he was a wreck.
Yeah. Having a weak cry in his room, probably, basically.
Yeah, and I was like, during that time, with this guy's going through a horrible...
That's when Tony was sick in that boot and getting those YouTube views.
Yeah, I was just saying how... I did say it sucks advocating for someone to lose their job, but he just wasn't up to the task. And then I made all these things about how his record was 50-50 everywhere
But like I said, just because it doesn't feel right now, it doesn't mean it was wrong at the time. We were crap for a long time.
Okay.
By All Black standards.
We won the World Cup. Right. Sorry, I'm not saying we won the World Cup. South Africans, calm down. If we win the World Cup, what does Foz do next? Where does he go?
He coaches the Wallabies, takes over
Yeah,
from Eddie.
no,
and
that was
takes
my
over
other.
the
That was
Vizio.
that's a bit of a that's a
I don't
fan
know.
fiction.
He
What about Japan?
Japan might be looking for a coach. His reputation will certainly be in a better place. Depends. He might want to retire. How old is Fozzie?
I think he's younger than Gats.
Don't you want to like drop that
wasn't-
mic and go out on a high?
He's not. I think he's aged a lot in the last couple of years.
sure.
I think he's younger than Steve Hansen and also Ted were when they were coaching. He was playing.
Do you know what position he used to play? Stop if you know the answer. What position do you think Ian Foster used to play?
Write in the comments below before I tell you. I think he used to play first five.
First 5'8".
He has kicking contests with some of the bigger forwards at the end of training sometimes, just for a bit of a laugh.
He was a 10. Yeah. Just like Marnie Libok. Picture him up against Ian Foster.
Yeah, he was sort of around that time where like Roger Randall and stuff were playing, wasn't he? Who are some other great chiefs of that period? Roger Randall. I was about to say Bull Allen, but he played for the Canes. But it's around that sort of era, isn't it? You know, early days of Super Rugby.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Seen him in Waikato gear.
yeah, he was a chief.
Yeah,
Yeah. His daughter made the football Fern squad. Didn't get on the field for the World Cup, but was part of the squad.
Good job, Fozzie Jr.
Good job.
The other game.
Are we in focus?
Think so.
Hope so. Am I in the frame?
Yes. It may be easier on the viewer's eyes if we're not in focus.
We're a little bit good when we're soft. This is so loose. Can I? You want to explain to them what went on with my microphone arm last week? Well,
Yeah.
you explain it to them, and I'll try and fix this.
So Tony
Oh, flip!
didn't explain
So it's my fault. What?
how
not my fault.
how to disassemble the microphone boom thingy.
My partner was helping me. Well, Mark was drinking a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And she's very can do. Wants to get into things, and then she just disassembled the whole boom arm really, and now I can't get it quite right. Yeah. And that was her. Yeah, you might have heard the oi. Yeah. It sounded like a large man from another room yelling at me. Anyway, I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Speaking of large men, did you watch South Africa take on England?
I did watch that game, and there was a lot of like.
It was raining.
It was raining, and in the New Zealand coverage, it was like people going, "Oh," like the pundits, like Israel Dag was like, "We know it's boring. We know there's so much kicking. We know there's no tries. Just bear with us, guys. It's not going to get much better. There's not going to be a lot more running. It's just going to be a lot of kicking." And I was
hate
like,
that kind of coverage. That was a cracking game.
It was a cracking game.
And it was fucking raining.
Can I say in their defense, like the reason it was a great game wasn't like it was tense, it was high pressure. Like it was a great game because it was going against the flow of what everybody expected. There was so many twists and turns and all that sort of stuff. The human drama was amazing. But to be fair, that's not the sort of game I want to watch, like in Super Rugby. It's not the sort of game I want to watch at NPC. It's not the sort of game I want to watch when I'm watching First 15 Rugby or anything like that. If everything turns into being that sort of game when you don't have that level of stakes and that level of pressure,
it's not the same thing.
It's not the same. It's not the same thing.
It.
Like on its surface, this is a game without where you take away all the context. If I was watching, if it was like Saracens versus, I was about to say the Wasps versus Gloucester or someone like that, I'd been like, Northern Hemisphere rugby. It's tough.
But the ball was a bar of soap.
Yeah. And it was
just sliding out of guys' hands. You can't even blame them for it because it was just slipping and sliding.
Yeah, I was enthralled. Yeah, woe to go. Really, really great game. And the English were perfect.
England out South Africa for a while with those
the high
box
balls
kicks, man.
and the tap backs, the way they were getting it. And to be fair, like Aronsa and Colby are not giant
big
men.
guys, and England,
so Stewart and May were having a field day just putting bodies up and getting those.
South Africa kept kicking it to Stewart, and it's like, you know, that guy's like 6'5", and like his special power is catching high balls,
and he was doing it phenomenally.
And they were kicking it like so deep that it wasn't even contested. Like, you're gonna give that guy a free catch? Why?
They played full credit. We'll go into the credit they get by the way they were able to pull that out of the fire, which is so much credit to them for doing that. But for the majority of that game, I have not seen the Springboks play worse in terms of their decision making, like in terms of even like they were getting better at their physicality. I thought that the likes of thought the likes of Marla and Otoje and Coles, they were smacking them around like Laws was playing amazingly. Like, what's the number 7 who was bleeding the whole time?
Curry.
Yeah, he was. They were getting dominated up front. Yeah. They really were.
Which is unusual to see.
Very, very unusual to see.
Yep.
And not to jump it too fast, but it feels so bad. It was basically if they had better prop replacements. If Sinclair
and
Genge
got dominated.
They just got absolutely, and the losses on them
by Ox and Vincent Koch when he came on.
Yeah, Mr. Incredible.
Yeah,
but
there was like a couple of moments like England lost the line out, not straight. I think that might have been slippery ball in South Africa's 22. At the start of the second half, and then they had an attacking scrum in South Africa's 22, and they just conceded a penalty. When they got those two moments, you're like.
That penalty that was right. South Africa mucked up a line out or something, and they had like a 5-meter scrum.
Like great attacking platform position.
Yeah, and I was like, "This is if they get
if they score here, geez, this good game could be done."
That's going to break their backs, and then they got that penalty.
Scrum penalty, and
that was a massive moment. Massive moment, and then they were just getting scrum penalties at will. Yep. Oxenche. He was amazing. If anyone deserves to play, he's not going to get World Player of the Year or anything like that. We've got windows open and there are moths coming into all these lights right now. Did you see that? Should I close those windows?
That's all right. They love hearing about Big Ox.
Yeah. Big Ox and Big Cocks. Did I press record on that thing? I think I did, didn't I?
That's the red light flashing.
If you haven't heard any of this podcast,
you've just seen a moth flying around Tony's face. This is why I'm here.
Anyway,
I forgot to mention Ox by name in my match review, and I got a bit of stick for it. Like, I think I mentioned the props. I was like, the props from South Africa. People, how did you not mention Ox?
Yeah, Ox was incredible.
I didn't mention Cock either, but anyway.
Ox and Cocks. Don't get your cocks in your ox, though.
Farrell kicks that drop goal, and it's like, shit, I think...
I was like, that's what they needed to do.
I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know if South Africa coming back from here.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't look like a game where it's like 2 scores is going to be anything easy to get.
I thought Snyman...
Bro, the bench generally, I mean...
One thing that Snyman does that he offers a real point of difference because he's very, very physical. Yep. He can do all those fundamental tasks very, very well.
Yep.
But he's got handles.
Yep.
Nobody else if they've got handles, anyone else in the forward pack, they put them away. Whereas he is so good at a bit of Sonny Bill Williams and gets a limb free and he gets a pass away, which is huge.
I'm going to throw a stat your way.
Throw it at me, big boy.
South Africa threw 2 offloads in that game, according to the stats. Yeah. Guess how many of them were Argy or Snyman?
Both of them. Yeah. Because, he's just able to get through the contact, and get his limbs.
Flick the ball around.
Yeah, a little bit.
Makes it look easy as pie.
Nobody else, it looked remotely close to offering an offload.
Yep.
You got to wrap that man up when you get contact with him.
No, he's crazy. And, the bench, the South African management were ruthless. Like, Manie Libbok has a couple of, errant kicks, boom, subbed.
Gone, yeah.
And then Willie LaRue comes on for, Willems knocks the ball under touch, boom, subbed. Reinach puts in a rubbish box kick, boom, subbed.
Shit.
They subbed Eben as well. Usually they bring off Mostert.
Yeah.
But I guess because Mostert's a tackling machine, they figure we need more tackles and we need someone to break the game open.
And they did it.
Snyman comes on, scores the try. Pollard comes on, kicks the winning goal.
Yes. Who starts next week? Pollard or... Pollard. You reckon? Yeah. Because I think Manie hasn't actually offered that much the last fortnight, has he?
I mean, his kicking game was what gave France a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they did. They got those couple of tries at the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, Pollard put that cross kick into Colby when they had one of the kind of few breaks of the game, like when Willie LaRue went kind of close with a grubber, but there wasn't that many. I don't think Jesse Creel had any carries. He knocked the ball on once. That was his contribution ball, and he made a few tackles, but...
Billy Vunipola played very poorly.
There's a weird thing with Steve Borthwick. As much as he's kind of changed the dynamics of England and they're on this positive track and, that guy James Wilde, who came on the podcast with me and the 2 former captains, said that, the players seem happy. When he talks to them, he's like, they just feel Like they're enjoying their rugby. So the dynamics changed in England. But two things he does that kind of piss me off is like one of them, he's got this reserve hooker, Theo Dan. He just doesn't play him. He just puts him on the bench for fucking 80 minutes. He just goes, Jamie George, you're going to play. You're there in case the other guy gets injured.
Right,
like,
old school.
Real old school. Like, how little faith do you have in this guy?
Whereas that could be taken up by another massive human being of some description.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why not pick like a Dion Ferry? They've got guys who can cover hooker in a pinch.
Dion Ferry came on and played.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just play an extra loose forward. Why sit him for the whole game for no reason?
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for the year that he's been in charge of them.
Yeah, it's that old school thinking of you pick players to play footy games, play whole games.
And then picking Billy V on the bench. Like, he's not added much. And, like...
He dropped the ball as soon as he came on, and he was the man to drop the ball at the
also,
end of the game.
Because he came on for Curry as a blood replacement in the first half, and he dropped the ball then as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And it was inside the 22.
Yeah.
It was like,
what?
Dude, that's the time you don't want to drop it.
Yeah, they got this guy Ludlam who can cover the whole back row. He's a real workhorse player. He gets through some million tackles. Bring him on for Curry. He's more like a like for like, but
maybe this was the corner they need to turn. But England saved their best game of 2023 for this matchup.
They got bloody close, man.
They got so close, and
Borthwick to start with Marla and Dan Cole. That was smart coaching.
Yeah,
that worked.
And there were so many moments in there. I was like, they're gonna win this.
Yeah,
they're gonna do this.
Felt like it,
and they were just like the little calls were going their way, like the knock-ons. South Africa kept on making poor mistakes at crucial times, and I was thinking
their line-out was going awry. They kept knocking the ball on the high balls.
They were getting dominance at scrum time.
Yeah, they even conceded a scrum penalty early on. It was like, geez, what's going on?
This is massive. And so then I'm a fan, and I'm like thinking, okay, geez, England winning a World Cup. Okay, how are we going to play them? They're and I was just trying to get through. I was like, okay, so we'll go into it red hot favourites, but they'll have like that fever mentality, not fever mentality, siege mentality, and all that sort of thing. And so them versus everybody and all that sort of thing. I was like, I was thinking, okay, we need to be like treat them a little bit like Argentina, just get on top of them early, don't give them an inch, and all this sort of thing. And then at the end, I was like, why did I waste all that energy?
Worrying about something that didn't even happen.
And then, but just the moment to give South Africa some credit. I've watched the All Blacks lose a few times in my life, and that I think the All Blacks lose that game. I don't know. I'm not sure if they lose that game. I don't know if they play that poorly, but I mean... If they get themselves into that position when they're 15,
can't pull that one out of the fire.
They don't pull that one out of the fire.
Old All Blacks teams would have pulled that one out the fire.
Last 10 minutes type of thing.
Yeah.
But also, like, I've seen us at World Cups many, many times, like 2007, 1999, like even 2019, where we were playing poorly in a World Cup final and, still had chances to pull it back in the last 15.
Didn't take those opportunities.
But just didn't take those opportunities, weren't able to pull the trigger, weren't able to pull it together, and just had that sort of lost kind of panic sort of look in their eye. Like, I don't know if the All Blacks get themselves into that position. Or, like, the conditions were perfect for England in the game that they wanted to play. They out South Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa played very, very poorly. They looked like they were still a bit drained from the week before.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, like, for all the credit we give the South African coaching staff for making the right and bold substitution calls, that they made the wrong call by playing the exact same team that just was so drained after last week with a 6-day turnahalf.
They needed to get some more energy from elsewhere.
Because they've got guys like Esterhazen and whatnot, like they've got these big game players.
They've got like 12 halfbacks. And it was... And it almost cost them, but just to have the bottle, to have the nerve, to have those props. There was one of the scrum, Oxney. Without Ox, they don't win it.
Yeah.
I like that. That is massive. That guy never has to buy Clippies and Coke for the rest of his life. It was really impressive to see them keep their nerve, and imagine just being a Boks fan, like they sort of seeing Nina Bar at the end, his heads like they didn't win until the 78th minute.
Last 2 minutes, yeah.
Like
they weren't leading the entire game.
Super heartbreak for that.
Did you feel sorry for Owen Farrell or not?
Yeah, to a degree, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't have a huge bond or connection to him, and neither does he to me. He's not worried about me either. But yeah, I felt for them I felt for the whole team in terms of how and I felt for their fans as well.
You had that game won for 70 odd minutes.
And like I haven't hid the fact that I really love South Africa as a nation and the people and all that sort of thing. But if we don't win it, I don't want them to win it. I'd rather anyone else win it because they've won 3.
My dad's the same way.
You know, I'd rather...
He loves watching All Black Springboks, but he doesn't want to see South Africa get 4 World Cups.
Yeah, exactly. I want us to be...
I think they'll be thinking the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, there's the tally, the historical tally to fight for next week. Next person who goes up next time is, all-time best World Cup team.
Well, before we get to next week, anything else about this game? Freddie Stewart had a pretty good game, but that last kick, that up and under he put up was just a bit too short. That leads to the double knock-on. That leads to the penalty. That's Pollard from 49 metres.
Yeah, that's brutal. Yeah, you make it's fine margins. I thought that, but yeah, I thought May and Stewart played pretty well for the entirety of the game, and it shows that if you don't put the South Africans away, like I know they were getting points and when they were getting those threes, but they would have iced it if they managed to get just a grunt over a maul try or something, a pick and go try.
I think those maul defense was pretty good, man. South Africa, like the All Blacks early on, were like, nah, we're going for post. We're going for a touch.
Yeah, that's right.
Their maul was really nullified.
Yeah, they were pushing it sideways and then disrupting the whole thing. And I think they got a few maul turnovers as well when it went to ground. I think the South Africans are particularly effective when they get when they have mauls. They sack them really quickly.
They sacked one of England's mauls really quick,
and they were sacking the crap out of. Was it France? Last week they were sacking the crap out of it. Was another team they were sacking, dropping their sacks everywhere.
What do you think about the fact that old Owen Farrell? Speaking of him, he gives the Reinach's trying to get the ball for a penalty. Farrell won't give it to him. He gets marched 10. That 10 metres allows Libbok to slot that penalty in a game of fine margins. Should the captain know better than to be... Because there was a bit of handbags in that game.
I think the reason...
Tuilangi had a penalty reversed for putting his arm around Reinach as well.
I thought the problem was because just before that there was a bit of a brouhaha when they were pushing and stuff.
And that's when the ref was like, I'm not having any more of this
I'm not having any more of it. And I thought it was really weird how Manu Tuilangi got penalised for...
He had his arm around him.
That's weird. That's a weird penalty, Ben. But yeah, I think he just was trying to establish his authority.
Yeah.
So he said, if there's any more pushing, we're going to get penalties and we may even get yellow cards. And then there was that penalty, and they over-celebrated, and they pushed one of the South Africans pushed one of them, and then he had the ball in his arm, but he was firing up at Ben, because I don't think Ben was watching the push.
Right.
And he said, he pushed him. Screamed at him.
Yeah.
Like...
That's not the really way to get the ref on your side.
Yeah. But he was like outraged by the fact he was like, you just said that. You just gave a pretty harsh penalty to me. That guy clearly pushed that guy. It's a nothing thing, but in terms of what you've just said. And then he screamed at him and screamed him again. And he was like, all right, we're walking 10 metres in.
Yeah. I feel like a captain like Sam Warburton, like he handles that a
Richie
lot better.
McCaw doesn't do that. Sia Khaleesi doesn't do that. Yeah, like he's got, and that's been one of his issues for a while, is just being a little bit hot under the collar.
Right.
But yeah, like all in all, great game again. A great game to watch as a neutral. I felt hot and flustered at the end of it. I
had the pressure on at the end. I was like, I don't even really care who wins.
I know. It's like, it's so weird when you're a neutral, but you're just emotionally invested. This is big time rugby.
Yeah.
Big time rugby. Women's rugby. The comp started
lost
by 1 point to the French.
Didn't watch it.
I watched one try.
Okay.
Ruby Tui did a lovely little chip through for
the URC also started, but I haven't been watching. I apologize. I haven't been watching any other rugby.
I saw a awesome try by one of the South Africans. It might have been one of the Lions.
Okay, they lost to the Stormers, I think.
Well, he did like a kick through. I don't know if I might get all these teams wrong. Pretty sure it was in South Africa. A kick went through. A bloke was chasing it. I don't know the name of the bloke. This is a rugby podcast. We don't know the names of any of these people. You probably do.
I would have known.
And then he goes through and he throws a knee at it. And then it stays there, and then he just does keepy uppies, and he throws another knee at it, boom.
Wow.
And then it goes up the net, and then he just throws a little cheeky foot out, just like flicks it up to himself with his foot, like keepy uppies.
Wow.
And then catches it and runs off to score. It was
nice.
Tasty.
Pretty tasty.
Tasty. South Africa could do with that. Yeah, I don't think you'll be seeing that much next week.
England lost 15,
What's
16.
with the you do the so can I show the people this?
I write in 2 colours.
You write in 2 colours.
So it's just easy to read.
See, one line is at
Yeah.
NZ 11 favourites to Leah close 3. Sorry, it's hard to read.
Where was that? Oh, New Zealand 11 players, Talia close, 3 Argentinian defenders hold them up.
Rugby World Cup, folks.
There you
A
go.
bit of a blowout. All right.
So there will be 2 games next week. England take on Argentina.
Who gives a shit?
Whoever wins that one gets the Falkland Islands, and then
I think England were going to win that one.
did I say Italy? Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina's going to be playing. They don't win the Falkland Islands, the Italians. Should we give it 30 seconds? Who wins that game?
Both sides are going to change their entire side, so I'll go with Argentina.
Oh, I think England take that one.
Okay.
Rather handily.
I'm putting it on the assumption that they both switch their entire sides.
12 points.
Yeah.
Although Chica was saying
they want to win the bronze medal. So
Chica was like, we want to come away with something. It's a big deal.
Hopefully he plays like Krevy and Sanchez and Maroney, like starts all the veterans. Hopefully. It's probably their last hurrah.
Yeah.
Let them go out with a crack.
Thank God we're not playing in that game.
That game sucks.
That game sucks balls. When's it been played? Just Saturday.
The day before, I think.
What is so Saturday? So we have Sunday's the day
For us, yeah. So Saturday over in France.
Okay,
It's a full.
It would have been great if it was this week.
Yeah.
Because we've got
Long weekend,
Long
yeah.
weekend at the moment.
But at least it's not on a Monday. So
Oh, thank flip for that, man.
So it's a week turnaround. The All Blacks are getting an extra day's rest. And there's a theory that maybe the All Blacks won't be quite as knackered having had an easier game. However, that game with South Africa England was very stop-start. So despite the fact that the game was tighter, there less happened. Like the All Blacks made like 185 tackles. South Africa made like 108. So the All Blacks still did a lot of stuff.
But in terms of like the emotionally
draining, for sure.
mental fatigue and stuff, and the stress, I think that all compounds the actual the physical impacts on them, and I think they may have been feeling that. But after the game today, like it was, I wake up, it's the morning, I watch it, I do my stupid video, and then I was standing in the shower. I was sitting in the shower, rocking back and forward, going, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But then I was just thinking about the game next week. And then just this, like, not overwhelming, but like a fair bit of like nervousness and anxiety came.
I thought about that as well. Because we don't play the Springboks in finals since
95. And I was like, this is so like, and then I was like, I can't live like this for a whole week. Like,
get it over and done
like
with.
Feeling this sort of tension and stress in it. So I was just like, so kind of for the rest of the day, I was just like, I'm obviously going to be wildly invested in the actual game itself. But I was like, you know what? If the All Blacks lose, it's okay. No one is going to die.
The sun is still going to come up in the morning.
Yeah, the sun's going to come up.
They'll get a runners-up medal.
Yeah, I'll go down to the dairy and get some milk and we might have a quick chat about it and like that. It'll be peak life will continue as usual, but like
it's gonna suck if we lose. It's gonna suck shit.
It'll suck real shit. But it's a 50-50 thing, really.
Yeah, it genuinely is. It's a proper clash of the Titan. It's a pretty fitting finale, I think.
I think in a wet track, they're the favourites, and a dry track, we're the favourites.
It does rain in New Zealand.
I know it rains in New Zealand, but just in terms of how the actual game will be played, like if it's a wet track, it'll be tighter, and they'll have the advantage if it's a dry track. Like I know that the talent is there within the Springbok squad to be able to utilize their incredible backs, but they just don't do it enough to be as slick and cohesive as a team like Ireland or even the All Blacks, who really rely on that style of play. They've got some really unique kicking abilities and stuff like that, but their game plan is so much more catered to upfront dominant physicality.
The game plan has shifted a bit more that way in the World Cup, hasn't it? It's been less of the flashy stuff, which we saw earlier in the year, which you kind of said might happen.
Yeah.
Come World Cup time, they would kind of go back to
type, and they certainly went back to type in the big
with
moments.
the conditions. It makes sense, but yeah.
And I think it's almost somewhat not easy to prepare, but there's some element of knowing what's coming. Like, you know that if you're Bowden Barrett, Will Jordan, or Talia, like, you've got one job this week.
Catch some high balls.
Just high balls with people coming at you. Like, it's just all high balls. Just gobble.
Do you think both sides keep the lineups similar, or can you see some catered changes for the opposition?
I think the lineups will be similar. I think Whitelock comes off the bench. Any other changes with the only other thing that they could potentially do within the All Blacks, which I don't think they would, because I think they're pretty set on Finlayson.
Finlayson?
No, Finlay. Sorry.
You caught Cam Roygaard. He's the only guy who scored in that blowout.
Yeah, so get like Roygaard for me. I think Finlay actually comes on and plays really well. Like, he did a lovely pass to...
He played well against Argentina.
And he did a lovely pass to Will Jordan to get, that try. He's a bit more of a like for like with having than with Aaron Smith. But I would, if we were up, I'm okay with Finlay coming on.
But if we're chasing,
I'd rather Roygaard just asking lots of questions around the ruck. But I think that they'll probably stick to type, and I think it'll just be a case of probably bring Dane Coles back in.
Right.
Samasoni will go back.
Do South Africa go Faf? Do they go Pollard?
I think Pollard. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Pollard potentially even Faf ahead of Kobus.
I think Pollard potentially will come on, and hot take. Mani Labok doesn't make the 23. And
they go with a
6-2.
Maybe they could even start LaRue and put Willems on the bench as your utility cover.
Yeah, I reckon they just replace him with Mani with
another forward.
With another forward, and then they can go. They want,
because Willems in the squad means they can cover 10, 12,
and they back themselves to have that bigger bomb squad and that more impact. That case, and that's where they think they've got a clear advantage over the All Blacks.
Yeah, Reinach's got the gas to go on the wings as well if they play him there. So
that's what
it'll be a big old game. Is it bad for the World Cup that we've got 2007 South Africa, 2011 All Blacks, 2015 All Blacks, 2019 South Africa? It's 2 teams, and it's going to be one of us in 2023.
Is it bad for the World Cup? Yeah, probably. Like, it would have been a lot freer. I think
France-Ireland would have
been a really lovely final.
Would have probably been the loudest final.
Yeah. I think, it would have been. But, and we don't have the biggest sets of supporting travellers, either team, to be fair. Like, New Zealand's... It's 2 12-hour flights, basically, to get to France.
It's 3.5 hours to get to Australia.
Yeah,
people think. I met a lot of Americans who think like it's just like down the road to go to Australia.
Yeah. Jump on a canoe.
Yeah.
It's
literally like almost 4 hours.
Like, when you fly to Asia or somewhere like that, you spend the whole day flying across Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been on the plane for 8 hours. You're like, where are we? Oh, we're over Darwin.
We're still over the outback. Yeah. Like, and it's just a big sandy mess down there. What a dirt mess. It's and Australia's massive. We really are isolated down here. So, there's a bunch of baby boomers over there who can afford being there.
My mum's boss is there.
Good for your mum's boss.
He's loaded. I think he lives in St. Heliers on my flash.
Oh, very nice. But what was I saying, Mark?
Something about supporters over there not being as loud. France-Ireland would have been a nice final.
Oh, it would have been huge. Yeah, I think it would have been apt if France was at the World Cup. But, hey, look, for us, it's huge. I really don't want them to get to 4. Would really want us to win. Like, it's what this team.
Great story for Fozzie.
Yeah, great story for Fozzie.
South Africa could go back to back. That'd be matching what we did in 2011, 2015.
That would be a thing.
Be a thing for them.
Yeah, but it's.
I hope we win.
I really hope.
I want us to win.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah, I'm very keen on us winning too. We've got that in common, Mark.
We do.
Oh dear. So, what's your plans for the game?
Gaz is going to come over. Going to watch it. So either my tears or joy will be tears either way. Tears of joy or tears of anguish.
Tears or semen, basically.
One or the other.
Bit weird, bit awkward with Dad around. Yeah. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might be either hosting or going to a boys' slumber party of some description. You know, it's on at 6:30 in the morning. We don't have slumber parties very often.
6:30 is the coverage, not the kickoff.
Oh, what time's kickoff?
Should be 8 o'clock.
Oh shit! I thought kickoff was 6:30.
Oh, I will double check
Let's double check.
because I don't want to miss the Rugby World Cup final. 8 o'clock.
Oh, thank Christ.
Coverage starts early.
Imagine that, you tune up. Here we go. Mark, 4 years of work has been leading to this dinner on just to see Khaleesi.
Like, fuck! I missed it.
Gaza! Oh, jeez.
That would be funny.
But you know, it's going to be a giant game. Like the two best teams in the world, two teams that both lost to France and Ireland.
There you go.
You know, but
One of the losers is going to win the World Cup.
we haven't talked about it. But can I just mention a couple of things about refereeing?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, nobody's talking about the ref for New Zealand against Argentina. But
I thought
there's
he
been a
was-
lot of grief for
I
Ben
thought-
O'Keefe.
Okay, I got two takes. Okay, I thought that Angus Gardner was actually pretty harsh on Argentina.
Right.
I think we got a lot of the unconscious bias in that game, to be honest. Like a few of the scrum calls, a bit of the breakdown stuff. I was like, if I was an Argentinian, and like there were the sort of calls that were like just not letting them get a foothold in the game. You know, like the 50-50s were going to us, and I was like, oh well. God.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, oh well, that's footy. It is what it is, and I wasn't upset about it. But I was trying to really actively acknowledge my bias. But I thought Ben O'Keefe was pretty good for the whole game, barring the last scrum that led to the Pollard penalty. Like I didn't see who was it. I couldn't tell. Like he's got a much better view, but for me, it didn't look like anyone was boring in particularly or going to ground or anything like that. It looked like at best a reset scrum or an absolute 50-50 that England gets a penalty there.
In the context of the game.
I could not see where it was. I couldn't see anyone dropping an elbow. I couldn't see any knees to ground. He's a professional referee, but it just looked like a bit of a harsh one to me. And considering that was what actually clinched the game, I know nothing, but that seemed like a bit of a shit one. I also, tell me what you think of this. Matt Williams on like the Virgin TV thingamajiggy.
Picture a balloon full of hot air and you've got Matt Williams.
But then like one of the Irish former number 9 agreed with him on this. And he said, we're an entertainment product. We want to see, backs taken on backs, wide moving balls, fast pace, attacking rugby. That's entertainment. That's what brings in new fans. But the fact that games are won and lost on scrums with penalties from scrums is not good for the entertainment factor of the game. He said,
nah, he's full of shit. Go watch League if you want that. Scrums are rugby, man. Sell your product based on what it is.
Yeah, he was saying still give free kicks and all that sort of stuff, but everyone can have different opinions, right? It's just an opinion. It's an idea. And pardon the hate.
You like League.
I really like League. But it's such a different game. Let's go watch League. Rugby isn't about just scrums. There are so many more differences.
There's so many different aspects to it. I think that's what makes it special.
The breakdown, the line out, the extra players on the field. There are so many places to get penalties and all that sort of thing. But but it just makes it a bigger, more physical, more power game. And it takes attention off the things. And look, I'm absolutely. And if you're a South African, I can understand 100% why you'd be like, no.
Oh, they love their props.
Yeah, they love their props.
Nobody loves props. I know South Africans love their props more than anybody else. If I pick a team of the week, right? Nobody ever complains you didn't pick my team's prop. If it's a winger or a centre or especially a fucking 10 or a 9, they'll be like, you're a joke. You didn't pick this guy. But no, South Africans will be like, Loose head prop. Fucking robbed.
Yeah, absolutely.
They love their props.
And like, I can totally understand that opinion, and that's okay. People can have different opinions. But from my perspective, on this end of the world, I grew up on, John Lomu, Terry Wright, Frank Bruns, Walter Little, Glenn Osborne, Christian Cullen, Zinzan Brooke, the likes of Olo Brown, Craig Dowd, all those guys, they're great players and stuff. But I don't think freaking scrum penalties when I freaking want to get a Kalen Doris about rugby. I think of flowing backline moves, and I think about the scrum. The mechanism for the scrum is to get all the big men in one part of the field, allowing some extra space. That's the main function for me for it. And there can be a contest and all that sort of stuff. And I just have an opinion, for me, if I could make a rule, that would be great. I'd be absolutely happy for penalties to be taken out of the scrum for it to be. But that's just an opinion from my perspective, from the way I like to watch rugby. And if you're from Georgia or you're from South Africa and your whole favorite thing is watching big men rub up against each other and bore in and not bore in and pop up, yeah, great. Like Wildcard eloquently described how great the scrum. Oh yeah,
he went on
a great scrum.
He had a big rant on.
But people can have different opinions.
Yeah, for sure.
I just saw them. I'm gonna get shat on for this opinion, but I just saw dribble, terrible content. What are these guys doing? That's just an opinion. People can have.
You're already reacting to the comments that haven't even been left yet. One thing I enjoyed about the England game was because the England scrum was getting smashed.
Yeah,
the tension of knowing that if you knock it on, you're fucked.
Yeah, but that sucks.
I like that. That's like the.
No, but a knock on shouldn't be it's not an immediate penalty. The fact that because it's only four players in the whole team are impacting the entire game. There's another 11 players that can be totally and completely.
But England still choose to kick it, which is high ball kicks, which is a high risk of somebody knocking it on. Yeah. So it's that tactical element comes into play because of the scrum.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why the All Blacks did so well the week before, because there was only few scrums. But the All Blacks scrum has been looking.
That's right.
Tyrell Lomax looks pretty great, and I think there's a lot more from a fan's perspective going into trying to get to understand. I remember in the old days where there'd be a scrum penalty and the commentators would go wow, and they'd Stu Wilson he'd be I'm a winger, I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, well,
and people be.
I remember for a while I always had this idea of a video of what are 5 things I would like to see about rugby to improve the game.
Yeah,
and I've always had this idea that a front rower, a former front rower, should always be on the commentary team or should be a special. Pundit that's gonna actually tell people, casual people, because even I don't know what the fuck's going on sometimes.
Yeah.
Just say what's going on.
Yeah.
So that way you kind of appreciate it more. But then I remember John Kerwin said that point on the breakdown a couple of years ago. I was fuck, you stole my point. No, I can't make that point. But
you know who's actually been doing really good breakdowns of scrums? And I saw him on Twitter or something like that. Former England prop. Had some health problems, had cancer. Corbarisi.
Oh yeah.
He broke down a scrum between. He was like good contact made. You can see Lomax. You can see Lomax makes a good impact. And then he was like, then you can see a bounce back from Porter where he is you just used the word it was extending into the other player, and he was just putting it in terms that you could kind of understand it, and he was freezing it and pausing it, and he's probably had his video taken down because it was it was World Cup content, but it was really fascinating.
No, that stuff is really high value. Actually, I think JK's point may have been that instead of the refereeing the scrum, they should have a former front rower doing the TMO's job, but just to look at scrums. I forget which point he made. It was one or the other.
Just have a scrum commentator.
A scrum,
scrum color man,
or even on the officiating team.
All right,
because you can tell a ref look for this boring in, look for this pulling out of the contest, look for this, look for that. It's maybe not always the same as having been doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you could have because all the former players who become refs are generally halfbacks.
Halfbacks, first fives.
First fives. So all these props.
Glenn Jackson still
no, he's with Fiji, I think, as the coaching team.
He was part of the coaching.
But like all these former props and stuff don't get any of these refereeing gigs because they can't get around the park for 80 minutes. Their body's buggered. But if you could give them a job like as a TMO, then you give them the job of like you just focus on the scrum. You'll be able to see the shenanigans that are going on there.
Nah, I don't want more refs.
Well, just make him a TMO.
Yeah, well, I know, but more TMOs, more people going, I've got something to say about this. Like, shut up! I don't want to hear. Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, get experts to make expert rulings, right? Like, but I think anything that's going to slow the game down more. I feel like that with the best intentions, it could potentially slow the game down more. Like,
he doesn't have to stop it for a TMO. He just has to get in his ear and be like, penalty Argentina.
I think the bunker has got better throughout this tournament.
Right. We didn't see much of the bunker this week at all.
No, and I was worried that the whole tournament we were just going to get check. There's a tiny little because there was a couple of little high contacts this morning and stuff, and they didn't get picked up. And okay, like, but it's been I think they've been working relatively effectively. Like, and this is what the game needs. We want to grow the game into being a spectacle, and you can have 1 or 3 countries going, I love my scrums. Great, or we could actually like make it a more entertaining product. You know, like
overall, I also think the game
it's lost
needs to be faster. Like you look at games from like the late 80s or early 90s, you're like, Jesus, it's fast, and the guys are so much smaller.
Yeah,
that I love seeing how like when there's a knock on within like 40 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, the ball's back in play.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like watching women's rugby now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
wow,
women's rugby is really high intensity like that.
It's quick. You know what's interesting? Like I watched on Friday night before the Argentina New Zealand game. I don't know if this is interesting, but I watched the 2011 quarterfinal. You know what the score was at 60 minutes in that game?
What was the score?
12 points to 10 to the All Blacks. Like, it was tense.
Spicy meatball.
It was tense. So then they just got a couple of penalties and a try late, and then they
pulled away.
But that was tense. But I was just watching the game itself, and there was just so much just like shipping it wide. You know, just like 10 to, you know, it was just it was Cruden to Ma'a to Conrad. They had Sonny Bill Williams playing at 11 in that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And he was playing 11. And it was before Richard Kahu. Because they were trialing him and Kahui basically at 11. We were out. The rest of our wings back then. They had Corey.
Zach Guilford would have been in the team that year, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But then there was Corey Jane on one wing, and then they had Izzy Dag at the back. And obviously DC was out, and
Cruds was in.
Yeah, Cruds was in. Came in from a skateboarding trip, and
plays Colin Slade, right? Or
yeah, that's right. And Beaver came in from whitebaiting, and the rest is history.
Those were the days.
Yes, that was some serious stress back in those days. Holy smokes, mate! Do you think you're gonna handle it this week?
I mean, it's gonna be what's gonna be.
Yeah,
it's a flip of a coin.
This time next week when we get together, we'll know who the World Cup champions are. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who are you picking to win the game?
The All Blacks, man.
The All Blacks, why?
Because I want them to win.
Because you want them to win.
That's it.
What's your professional rugby YouTuber opinion about?
I really want them to win.
I really want them to win as well. Yeah, because I feel like you're more confident than I am.
You think South Africa's got the chops to...
I just think you can't... I just think they have this outer-bodily determination and inner will, and then New Zealand just has this freakish ability to score points. So
the weather forecast's not looking great for Paris for the next 7 days.
So but it's like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, and that's basically been the story of the
this year we've played twice. We smashed them, they smashed us. Although one was neutral,
and maybe this one won't be a smash. Like I think it was perfect how it went for them in Twickers, where we lost our best prop in the first 10, and then spent 60 minutes of the game
I just hope, man,
players.
like it's not like a game where a prop goes down in 5 minutes or there's a red card in 10 minutes, you know? I hope it's a fucking good game.
Yeah.
Like, just go hammer and tongs. Make it a worthy final, you know what I mean?
I'll take a tonking. No, I'm not from us, and I'm not take one. But if we win by 25 points,
you'll love every second of it.
I will be in heaven. Like, I would love it. I would love it, and then I would all the neutrals afterwards going, "Well, that was bad for the game." I'd just be
suck a dick.
I would be dancing the day away, you know, like that. Just because that's what I like. I love when my favorite moment of the World Cup so far was that last the moment we beat Ireland, like freaking beating the chest, screaming, like guttural crap, and there's nothing better than that. But there's nothing worse than the stress and anxiety and like
waiting for that whistle.
I can't handle it. And that's why like Italy game, I was super nervous. So that was like a super therapeutic. Argentina, I was very nervous. Super therapeutic. Like I'd be happy to have this one in the bag with 20 minutes to go. I would be fine with it.
I could live with that.
Yeah.
Fozzie, so just FYI.
Could you help us out with that? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think...
Nah.
It's going to be all to play for. Potentially, they could have it in the bag with 20 minutes to go, but I don't think anyone's going to have it in the bag with 20 minutes to go. I think, honestly, there's a part of me that just goes like, you've seen Moneyball?
Yeah.
You know, Brad Pitt's character just gets so nervous that he just simply can't watch any of the games. So he just sort of just flicks it on the radio towards the end just to see who won. I feel like I could do that. Like, just be like, I'm too involved in it. I could just like.
Well, the game starts at 9:50, so just in case that's when it's going to tell you on.
I could just go for a walk or something. Just go for a walk and.
Good morning, as you walk past.
I do that with Dan Hooker's fight sometimes.
Okay.
Like when I get really nervous, but when I see Dan Hooker fight, I go have a shower, and it's over pretty quickly all the time. Then I'll go have a shower, then I'll just like look at Twitter, and then realize he's been knocked out, and be like,
Yeah. In the 2011 final, when we were playing France, we were marginally ahead. They had a long shot at goal. I couldn't bear to watch. I went for a piss and then came back and he'd missed it. And I was like, oh, fuck, thank God. Yeah, sometimes you just can't watch.
I was in Wynyard Quarter for that one.
I was in Wuhan, China. Hey, Wuhan, China.
Oh, yeah.
2 cents on tour, baby.
Yeah, there it is.
It's got 2,000 subscribers now.
Oh, boom. Well done.
2,000 subscribers. 2 cents on tour.
How about that?
This face. Speaking a different language sometimes.
A lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
And having a conversation... the two conversations you have the most at, man, you're tall, and your Chinese
is good.
Your Chinese you look like you shouldn't be able to speak shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. But that reminds me, you told me when you plugged that we needed a plug. We plugged it at the start. I'll plug it again.
We did. The 2CGD.
The 2CGDs are coming up in a couple of weeks. So you got any categories? Like, for example, we had the Richard Kahoy Award last year for... I'm not gay, but looking for the most attractive man in rugby. I think that'll be a recurring feature. But any other
biggest grub,
best big man, or big lady, whoever you want to talk about. We had that debate last year about whether you can call it. We talked a lot more about women's rugby last year because the
World Cup.
World Cup was on, and we got some of our worst viewed videos of all time.
That's right.
Yeah. Get up with it, guys. And also, try if you've never watched women's rugby before. There's some high quality women's rugby on. If you just want not a lot of rugby on, well, URC's back.
URC's back. Top 14's back. Premiership's back.
Taranaki won the NPC.
They did. They beat Hawke's Bay. I was hoping Hawke's Bay would win it.
Why?
Because they haven't won it in fucking ages.
Oh, suck something. They disgraced the nation by Shield, so I was very happy that the Taranaki won that game. But yeah, and it was actually quite an entertaining game. It came down to the wire. Anyway, I think that's us, mate. World Cup week, baby.
World Cup to go.
It's exciting times. Good on you, Mark. It's a good handshake. All right.
Take care.
Harida.